I've been tracking how much affection my wife gives me. I think she's neglecting me. Oh, that's already so sad.
Already sad.
I, 34 male, and my wife, 43 female, have been together for 16 years.
Someone do that math.
Married for 7. We have a 4-year-old daughter. 16 years. That is 18.
Ooh.
Little dicey, 18 and 27. Hey, maybe it gets better. We have a 4-year-old daughter together. After the first few years, where my wife was very kind, present, loving, and affectionate, things have changed a lot. I rarely receive kisses from her, let alone hugs or kind words. She doesn't ask how I am in the morning, let alone say good morning or good night.
Ugh.
By the way, this comes from Boysenberry Still 1498 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I'm tired of this. I have told her in every possible way that as a man, I need these expressions of love to feel loved. I mean, I think as a human.
I think it's everyone.
I give Sophia a hug every morning.
It's true.
Well,
and I feel loved.
yeah, you better. You better. Her excuse is that she is too stressed because of the child. But these things were happening even before our daughter was born. Or that everything depends on my behavior towards her. Every time, it always depends only on me. When we argue about this, she says I'm exaggerating. Tired of arguing about this for a year, I have recorded in a diary all her expressions of love over the past month. Here, you can see a screenshot.
Please.
I know it may seem exaggerated, but believe me, I am exhausted and don't know how else to show her the lack of love I feel from her. So sad.
I mean, you've told her.
You've told her, and
so
now
at that point,
you're gathering data.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but
yeah.
This makes me sad.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if you, who have a beautiful marriage and are deeply in love with your husband/wife, have so few demonstrations of affection during the month? What I don't understand is that spicy sleepily, things are fine. And we have spicy sleep 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes initiated by her. I am fed up though. I don't feel loved as I would like, and I have lived like this for many years, and now I can't take it anymore. Please don't get mad at me. Everyone needs their own time to understand certain things, and I realized this over the past year. I am a romantic, passionate, and attentive man. Normally, I can give 5 to 6 hugs a day, kisses, compliments, surprises, and I can talk about anything and discuss things in different ways. However, being treated like this makes me shut down and withdraw because of the lack of reciprocity. I am seriously thinking of divorcing because I don't feel heard or understood. I don't see a person who understands and takes action to change the situation. And there are some relevant comments and an update. So relevant comment says, what is the breakdown of shared chores or household work? OP responds, I'm doing 50-50, working, watching the kid, trash, laundry, blah, blah, blah. The fact is that even before the kid, she behaved like that. I don't want my wife to be my mommy, and I'm fully capable to live alone and do everything because I already had. And Gold Pico says, or that everything depends on my behavior towards her. Can you elaborate on this one? OP responds, says, basically we're running in this circle until some months ago. I don't receive what I ask, affection, and I'm treated poorly. So after a long time of patiently waiting for change, I stonewall/get offended. We have a fight because of this. She says she has enough of stonewalling and me being offended because it hurts her. When we end the fight with me being the one that swallows it and tries to let it go, I try to tell her what is causing this and to take action. Time passes and we're again from the start. Sounds like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Some months ago, I read about stonewalling and how bad it is, so I ended it, and still, it's really hard for me to get through this lack of affection. The problem is that I've been also treated very bad during these fights, yelled at, called names, divorce threatened by her side. I'm hurt on so many levels. Ocean Poet 87 says, what are you doing to love her back? I feel like the diary can backfire because it focuses your emotions on her actions rather than on what you can control. OP says, the diary is about facts, not my emotions. If I receive no hugs for 5 days in a row, it's no hugs for 5 days in a row. I tell her I love her. I tell her how beautiful she is. I joke with her. I buy her preferred premium soda when I do groceries. I ask her how she feels when she's ill, and I take care of her. But do I feel reciprocated? Nah.
Yeah, I think you just need to you brought it up to her, so I think you have to have a conversation about separating or divorce, unfortunately.
OP elaborates more. Exactly this I feel with this comment. Even if we have a difficult 4-year-old child, we have a lot of relaxed moments where I do kiss her, hug her for some seconds, tell her something nice. It is impossible that she's so stressed that she can't even hold my hand for some seconds. I think that the issue with her is that she comes from a family where the father was really abusive, hitting, calling names, etc., and in constant fights with the mother, cheating. I think that she received love from her mother, but she didn't from her father, and that's the results. But from the other side, I don't understand how she could give me what I needed the first 1 to 2 years of the relationship just because it was new. I also asked how her 2 previous relationships were with their partners, if they complained about these things, but she says they didn't, and that she was giving them hugs, etc. But in this case, they were 3 to 4 years older than her. So it's like maybe it's like the relationship dynamic or something.
Yeah.
Commenter says, I'm not saying you were immature for your age, but you were still an 18-year-old.
I mean, you're 18, yeah.
Yeah. You can only be so mature at that age, you know? I'm saying she had to be very immature for her age because it doesn't make sense otherwise. There had to be some manipulation there from her that you missed because you were an unassuming young man. Like you said, she had experience from previous relationships. She knew how to woo you in and get you to commit. Opie says, thanks. Why would a nice 27-year-old woman pursue an 18-year-old and manipulate him and get him to commit? What are your hypotheses? Thanks.
I don't think it's like, even to OP's question, I don't think it's necessarily a conscious like, ooh, I'm planning to trap this 18-year-old. It's
just what
you have
she's
emotionally
with.
Well, you have an emotionally immature woman who clearly has some trauma from childhood, and she feels more in control when you have this large power dynamic and age difference.
And Kimberly Fine says 2 previous relationships. Wasn't she 18? No. He's 18. She was 27. Okay, and then looking at the, oh man, okay.
No good nights, no good mornings. Interesting talks with 100% attention, none.
So he's only had nice words on 3 days. He's only had a hug 4 days out of the month. He's only had kisses 5 days out of the month. And he's only had an interesting talk with 100% attention 1 day out of the month.
And also, nice word, I complained about it the night before. Kisses, nice words, and hugs, I complained the night before. Kisses, hugs, after strong quarrel the night. So these are all preceded by conversations where he's like, please give me this. I need this. This is very sad. I just can't imagine doing this.
Oh. So OP says, but again, if you're 27, young and beautiful, won't you be able to do the same to same age men like you or older? They also already have everything in their life. Commenter responds, no, because older men have more experience too and are harder to manipulate. Maybe they didn't want her for a reason. Maybe they saw she didn't have enough to offer for a long-term relationship. I'm guessing only you know the truth. And OP responds, so you think they already understood her lack of affection and attention for a long-term relationship? The issues I'm having right now? I always thought that she doesn't have respect for me also because of the age gap and doesn't treat me well. Commenter says, when you think back to getting married, did she lack affection the majority of the marriage? If so, then yeah, I guess other men probably noticed early on and didn't want to put up with it. If you feel she doesn't respect you, then that is a whole other problem. Do you feel she looks down on you? OP responds, yeah, she did. I don't know how they were able to spot that. OP responds to multiple comments regarding the age gap, him being 18 and her being 27 at the time. He says, she was not pursuing me. We just met in chat back in the old days. We talked, and then the interest was born. She was very skeptical to consider me seriously because of the age, but after some time, she did. We met, we engaged. Could you please elaborate on feel like the age gap could play a huge part? What is your POV? OP says, I was way more mature at my age because of my hard life before 18. So I wasn't in a mature 18-year-old freshman. I get your point, but you're missing some info. Maybe I was more mature and she was less mature, but still, I don't get why she had 2 relationships with guys 3 to 4 years older than her. So you think they already understood her lack of affection and attention for a long-term relationship, the issues I'm having now? I think he's repeating a little bit.
Yeah, but I think like he's like, oh, why would she have been in a relationship with older guys? I don't even think it necessarily has to do with those older guys realizing that she was lacking something.
Yeah.
I think it's her, like maybe she gets out of those relationships and then she wants someone that she can have a little bit more control over who is not as able to pick up on these signs.
Well, it's also just not that premeditated.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's just like you fall into something and then you are able to stay in that relationship because they, like the 18 18-year-old doesn't
Yeah.
like
And maybe
2 years into it doesn't pick up on those signs. So
Yeah,
it's like,
the
oh, this
older
is normal.
people might have picked up on signs that the relationship wouldn't
Yeah.
work. He didn't, and it wasn't because she was like, I've got an 18-year-old that I can manipulate. It's just like, they just ended up staying in the relationship because the 18-year-old didn't realize that a relationship could be different.
Yeah.
And something that I feel like, I've learned in relationships is there's a lot of stuff that I totally accepted and let slide that I realized in dating other people, wait, it doesn't have to be normal.
Yeah.
And it's like you can have loyalty in a relationship and honesty and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to forgive.
No, it's like when you ask for things and they're
stuff,
like no, and you're like, oh well, I guess that I shouldn't have asked for that. And it's like, no, you're allowed to ask for those things that you want.
Yeah, and I think that's part of becoming mature.
And I think to OP's point about oh well, I'm a more mature 18-year-old. You might have experienced harder things, but you're still 18, and there's this 27-year-old has gone through a lot more life.
Yeah, dude. I think about how different I was at 18 versus I'm 27 right now. A whole lot of life.
Yeah. You can behave differently, but your brain is not fully formed. So you're still immature in that sense.
Another commenter said, did OP do something for his wife? And if so, what was her response? OP says, yes, 2 months ago. I even questioned myself to the point I treated her like a princess for 2 weeks straight, not getting offended, telling her constantly how I love her, how sexy she is, hugging, kissing a lot of times with hearth. But what I received in return, just 2 compliments and one I love you in 2 weeks.
Ugh.
After this, I felt so bad and not reciprocated that I decided to do this test, if you want to call it this. And I couldn't do it anymore. It just hurt too much. And there is another update. This feels like different relationship dynamics. We were talking in an earlier episode about there's people that just can't travel well together.
Yeah.
There's people that this kind of relationship dynamic and this lack of affection might work okay.
People who don't like a lot of physical affection.
Yeah, and it's not like she's doing anything egregiously wrong. She's not listening to her partner, which is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's not giving affection isn't it's part of it's part of what he needs for a relationship.
I also think
if she wants to be in a relationship with him, it's she needs to give this, but it's not necessary. It's not cheating. It's not
No, but I think it is this is something that is brought on because of how she grew up, and it is something she needs to work through.
Yeah, if she wants to be in the relationship,
absolutely.
Right? But I think if this is something that she just can't give, then that just means this isn't a relationship that they can be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what I mean. It's it sucks, but this just seems like 2 very different ways of approaching a relationship that are incompatible.
Yep.
And you could ask someone to be more affectionate all you want, but if it is so against their natural state of being, it's going to be really hard for any meaningful change to happen.
Yeah.
And Certified Jen says it's neglect. I think I do think it is, but I also think it's just might be that is just not who she is. Cheryl Dye says they are just not compatible. Well, I feel like it's a combination of neglect and incompatibility, and both are very high.
Yeah.
They don't have enough care, or she doesn't have enough care for him to meet him halfway, and she's incompatible. So it's kind of both. But yeah, I would love to know from you guys. Do you think this is something that can be saved? Is it just incompatibility? I would love to know what you guys think. Ellie says, I just want to know, he says time without kind words. Does that mean she's not giving compliments, or is she just being mean? Is she snapping and being snarky all the time? I think it sounds like there is moments of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Kim Roberts says, how is affection with her child?
I also think OP said he noticed a difference in the past 4 years, after around.
No, he noticed the first 2 years were good, and then
okay.
It was before the relationship, or before the child.
Oh, before the kid. Okay.
You noticed this. Mm-hmm. Kirsten, says maybe OP and wife need to go to couples therapy. Yeah, if you want to save it. Yeah. Cheryl Dye says she's not even trying. Yeah, it doesn't sound like she is.
Yeah.
Certified Jen says she hasn't put forth any actual effort, so I think it's a lost cause.
I agree. He's tried to bring it up multiple times, many times, with no change.
All right, update. So those days after publishing the post, I've spent a lot of time reading online, watching reels, watching YouTube videos to better understand my situation. And thanks to all of these, I discovered the issue of avoidant attachment style. I was stunned by how closely my wife fit the description, and I set out to thoroughly study the case. I also identified other things I should do in my relationship, set clear boundaries, demand that my requests are understood, respected, and fulfilled, stand firm in my position, and if necessary, and make it clear that I am willing to leave. I showed her the Excel sheet to my wife the next day, And her first response was, "But yesterday we cuddled." I told her, "Look at the facts over the past month. There are things you never do, and the few things you do are a result of my complaints or arguments. They're not debatable. I'm sorry." Then I told her what I discovered and how she fits into the case. I read her the main characteristics of these people and the types of traumas they have gone through in their lives. I explained to her, knowing her personal family story, this was mainly thanks to the abuse she received when she was a kid from her parents. My wife was stunned and listened, then asked me, "So what should I do to solve this?" My answer? I don't know. Because I really don't know. The thing I do know, and what I told her, is that these problems were generated in her childhood and they need to be addressed now. I'm now informing myself about the options available to solve or at least alleviate these issues. Sadly, we have difficult schedules, so therapist is off the table for right now. But during the day, I cried a lot because finally, after 16 years, I understand why we had these problems. A strong sadness came over me because I recalled all the situations where I was treated badly, with indifference, and didn't receive the affection I wanted. I also remembered all the lies and manipulations used over time to cover up her shortcomings. I think the first step is to focus on myself and solve my own problems, since I developed an anxious attachment style. I'll probably use an online course and books to do this, since I have very little time between my daughter and work. If it works, I will propose to my wife, who says, "I understand, don't worry. Now I know what I need to give you without courses or anything, but I have serious doubts about the statement and will continue to track what happens in my diary."
No, she's like, "Oh, I don't need any help. I'll do it myself." Which is not the solution.
No, I mean, like, you
You
need
need
to put in
outside
the work.
help.
And will continue to track what happens in my diary to have objective data. Jellybit says, "Why so analytical?" I mean, I think he's trying to paint a clear picture of like what is actually happening, because
Especially because he's been talking to her about it and saying like, "Hey, I need this, I need this, I need this," and it's not getting through to her.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Okay, you know what? Here's proof."
Yeah. And I think sometimes you kind of need that proof.
For yourself, too.
So for yourself to understand what is really going on. Susan S. says, "The story is triggering to me. I totally relate to the wife. I still think the spreadsheet thing is creepy." I mean, everyone has different ways of
handling things.
understanding their worldview. Like, is writing in a diary about what happened in the day creepy? Some people are just more analytical. Like, I think, like, if you don't think writing in a diary is creepy, I don't think this is that much different. It's just a little bit more analytical, because OP sounds
more analytical.
More analytical. I've already told her that if, unfortunately, this situation doesn't resolve, I will proceed with divorce. And when I do, if forced, I won't go back. That will be the end. I will also follow the excellent advice from Feeling Okay 2951. In the meantime, I will let you know what happened. Personally, I want to see how things go next week. I am sure, unless I am mistaken, that my wife will only last 3 days. In any case, I will continue my path to heal and be ready for a new relationship when the time comes. Stay tuned. If anyone has experience with spouse healing from avoidant attachment styles, please let me know. And we have another update.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the wife is trying to say that she can move forward from here and like make change, but
she's not.
She's not actually wanting to do anything to.
I feel like it's like, "Hey, I really want to be like the best power lifter in the world.
Yeah,
but I don't need to go to the gym.
Nah, I'm just
I have everything I need.
Yeah,
I have everything I need.
Just go start lifting.
I'm just gonna I'll start lifting when I go to the Olympics. Yeah, I'll start lifting then. I don't need to do it." Ashamar says, "It just seems weird to me. He is tracking her every day. I mean, he's tracking their relationship." And it was like a month. Again, like, if you were to write this in a journal, would it be different? And I think that's like the question. If you think that's weird, then maybe you just think that's weird. But like, I journal every day about things that go on, and maybe this is like his version of a journal. I don't know. Ayala says, "I think something else is going on. If she was really into him, nothing from her childhood would cause his behavior." But shall we get into
the update?
The updates. So, as expected, my wife lasted less than 3 days. Actually, just one. In terms of giving kisses, hugs, cuddling. But it doesn't matter. Wait, actually, one real quick note. I remember we were reading a story not too long ago. And it was like this thing where this woman was married to this guy, and she's like, yeah, I found myself like always checking his text, always like seeing if he was talking to girls because he had cheated on the past, and I had caught him like, like texting other girls and like sending spicy pics. And what I realized is I was exhibiting all of this crazy behavior because I didn't trust him, right? And so it's like, really, I should have, once the trust ended, I should have stopped the relationship.
Yeah.
But what I did is I kept in the relationship and then adopted a behavior to make up for the trust that was lost by being hyper observant and controlling. But really, I just should have just ended the relationship. And to go back to what Ash was saying, like, I think it is weird to track this, but it's because he is staying in a relationship where he already knows, like,
it's not working.
It's not working. The affection is gone. The relationship is broken in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And when a relationship is broken, I think people compensate in very unhealthy ways, like being hyper observant and controlling of how someone is interacting with other people or with their phones and stuff like that. Or creating a spreadsheet of affection, like this is a weird behavior that comes out of a place of a lot of pain.
Yes. And just means this relationship is not healthy anymore.
Yeah. And he definitely should keep going to self-therapy or single therapy.
Absolutely.
If she's not going to do couples. But it doesn't matter. I found all the things I need to fix me, so I'm starting my journey alone in order to be able to grow and be able, without hesitation, to proceed with a divorce and not go back to her. I'm also seeing a lawyer to have everything checked before I proceed in the future. The interesting thing is that I listed all my insecurities and issues related to the trauma I experienced in my childhood, and I see a lot of things that I need to work on to fix in me. I asked out of curiosity to my wife, what are the top 3 things she thinks should be fixed, expecting them to be at least 10 items, but she told me that defensiveness and stonewalling are the only 2 things that, without them, I would be the perfect husband. I was stunned and confused the whole day. I also asked if removing these 2 things would result in her loving me more, but she told me no because she already loves me the way I am, and this is just my cross. So it seems she's happy with the marriage while I'm not. I want more from a relationship, at least the basic caring of a wife. I don't think I'll give you any other updates because I'll be focused on improving things in myself. But once the time comes for me to proceed with the divorce, I'll let you know what happens. Stay tuned. And we got some relevant comments from OP, but it seems like OP's doing what is good for him.
Yeah.
And ultimately, for
I think,
both of them.
No, I think it's not working. And regardless of whether or not it's working for her, it's not working for you. And that's the most important thing for you.
Yeah.
So I think, you have to end it.
And I think what is interesting is we are getting the wife's perspective. They're not getting like the wife's perspective. Obviously, we're only getting OP's perspective, but it does seem like she's validating him, that she feels like the relationship is working.
On her end, at least.
On her end. Would love to know from chat what you guys think. Susan S. says the story is so one-sided. Sophia Callan says, I agree. Josephine Medola Burquest says, leave her. Cheryl Dye says, I'm not very demonstrative at all. One of the reasons I'm single, I like my personal space. And Heliana Bain says, hopefully he will stay single for a while. So OP responds on how he's moving forward and working on himself. Thanks for sharing your story. While I'm trying to start my healing process, I'm literally crying every day preparing for myself for my divorce. The probability of her changing is less than 1%, and the issues we have are deep-rooted in the past. I tried everything to get her attention. I gave her all the love I could possibly give. I tried so many times to accommodate her way of being, but I've had enough. I'm heartbroken. My dear wife, my dear lovely wife, my first woman in my life, I did everything I could to love her with all my heart and be recognized for this. Love for this. Every small bid for attention is lost in the dark. I'm really heartbroken. I'm just preparing myself for the divorce, trying to cry out all the tears before I finally tell her I'm leaving. It's one of the most difficult things to do in my life. And believe me, I did crazy and difficult things in the past. This one is going to kill me, but I need to proceed. I can't live like this any longer. I don't want my child to see and become like this, because the chances for her to find a good partner will lower considerably And the comment said, did OP try to connect with his wife over the years, being affectionate in their marriage? OP said, yeah, I tried for a couple of years, also during COVID, but man, it was hell. Me just working, playing video games till 1 to 2 in the morning, sometimes watch a movie with her where she would always fall asleep. No real connection, just me doing something and her on the phone. I remember one time one friend of ours said that he was about to disconnect from the game because he was requested by his girlfriend that they wanted to stay with him and watch something together. I tried this, but it feels to me like I'm always missing something. I don't have that deep connection. I'm alone and I feel alone. Then when we have arguments, I have no love bank filled to be able to face that. You know, sort of like, okay, you're mean to me, but 3 hours ago you were kissing me, telling me I love you. I only have negative feelings. Also, this way of being, it's not me. I want to feel wanted. I want to be cuddled. I need love. If I'm feeling bad, I want someone being able to hug me and tell me, sweetheart, don't worry, everything is going to be all right. She never does this. Instead says things like, level up. Life is hard.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
He's just a lover boy. He's just like, I just want a hug. And she's like, get over it.
Where's that grind set?
Pick yourself up, soldier.
Left, right, and walk yourself out the door. I know that it's her traumas, and I don't leave any resentment towards her. I just can't keep up with this. Also, I love to give. Stopping from doing so is devastating. I also have other issues, like she almost never initiates any discussion, doesn't allocate time for me. It's always me chasing her, and I have enough of it. Spicy sleep can't be our only way of connection. She's always with me, but her mind is somewhere else. I tried to enter in her mind, but no luck in 16 years. It's been a full year that I'm talking about this issue with my wife, and she frequently denied it by saying, like, it's not true. Tomorrow I'll show you. This is very morning I gave you a kiss. I'm affectionate. See, other couples, they don't engage anymore after all these years, blah, blah, blah. How do you feel after one full year of sweet attempts to talk about an issue? And frequently she would say that her lack of affection is due to me doing XYZ. I had to create the spreadsheet to have evidence of an issue. And the evidence shows that the affection I receive, it's only when I have a fight with her or I complain the day before. One day of change followed by weeks of nothing. It bothered her and she was angry for sure. I get the frustration of seeing something like that, but does she get my 1 year frustration? And I'm not threatening to divorce over a spreadsheet. I'm threatening over 1 year of trying to talk and solve this issue. I could have said, I'm done by 1 year ago. I rather fought with everything that came to my mind. Yeah, so I created a spreadsheet after months and months of no affection. So you could create a spreadsheet with 0 in every cell for 90 days. You don't know what you're talking about, and surely you don't know what it feels like to receive no affection in a marriage for so long. Do I have personal issues and traumas? Yes, sir, and I'm going to address them. Does my wife have issues and trauma? Yes, sir, but is she going to do something about it? No. At least this will be the most probable scenario. So hence the divorce, so she can provide her carelessness to whoever she wants to.
Woo. Man. Yeah, I think the divorce is the way to go. It's not working anymore for OP, and
yeah.
It's hard to parent in those conditions
but
too.
But maybe this will be the move they both need.
Yeah, to change.
To change. Hopefully. Lala says she sounds depressed. Duchess Cassandra says, all this story is way too triggering for me. Sorry, Duchess.
Oh,
hopefully it gets better.
Yeah.
Kelke says, it's sad because her marriage is 90% better than her home life marriage. That's why she doesn't see it the way he does.
I mean, that's what he was saying. He was saying about his kid. He doesn't want his kid to look at this and think that this is how relationships should be. And this is kind of, that is the case for her.
Yeah.
I mean, she saw the relationship of her parents, and now she's kind of bringing maybe a less extreme, but still not great version of that to OP.
I feel like for his own good, he has to let her go.
I agree.
Which is what Susan S. said. Please let her go. So we got a new update. And welcome to the depressing stream, by the way. Not much light in this stream, except for the proposal. Oh, that makes it all better.
It's all good.
Oh, so good. Joy's on tap any moment we want. So, update 3. I decided to write an update on my story and let you know where things are going. So I began my journey of shadow work on my own. I thoroughly read about how to do it, studied everything carefully, and started confronting with much pain my past and what I experienced in my family of origin. The first thing I realized was this very clingy and needy part of me that craved love a bit too much. And I understood that a wounded and defenseless child lived inside me. I realized I needed to embrace him, hold him, and take care of him myself, as I was the only one who could give him unconditional and always available love. It might sound strange, but realizing this allowed me to somehow talk to my deep self, embrace him, and make him understand that now I comprehend I am here, I protect, and I am here for him.
I didn't realize that OP was talking about himself.
Yeah,
I thought
himself.
it was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is like parts work.
Yeah.
From that moment, I stopped seeking attention from my wife, a total reset. And with the new love, I now know how to show myself I feel calm, secure, and most importantly, no longer needy. I stopped seeking my wife entirely. No kisses, no hugs, no sweet words, and zero conversations initiated by me. If she wants to, she can do it. Otherwise, I am no longer interested. I am happy with myself. In the 2 weeks this has been happening, she hasn't complained about anything. This made me realize that my hypothesis regarding her type of attachment was correct. After realizing this, I understood almost all the things that trigger me in my marriage and why, linking them to the traumas I experienced in the past. I first tackled the issues of criticism and stonewalling. I discovered that because of how my mother treated me and all the physical and verbal abuse from my stepfather, who hated me, always hypervigilant in trying to understand if I was in danger and if anyone wanted to harm or criticize me. I suffered immensely reliving all this again, but I managed to understand why I was triggered, reasoned about why all this happened, and tried to put myself in my mother and stepfather's shoes to understand why they became the way they did. I know both of their childhood stories, and I have radically desensitized myself from this. Without going into details, I told my wife that I resolved that one problem she always talked to me about and to see the results in the following days. In the following days, there were countless situations where I normally would have exploded and or stonewalled, but I got through them calmly and unscathed without being triggered.
Really quick, I love that, but I also think it's kind of funny. OP's like, I just wanted to let you know I've resolved those issues. Just like one day comes, I resolved them. And then from that point on,
man.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
Drama, done.
Gone. Yeah.
Gone.
Done. I'm a perfect guy. I'm walking on water, even in important situations. This made me happy because I realized how much of my past was negatively impacting my present. Unfortunately, although we no longer have frequent arguments with my wife, she hasn't had significant changes. I just saw her happier and calmer, but she hasn't changed at all. I'd asked her before starting this journey if resolving this issue would make her the loving, present, in-love woman from 2008 again. She said yes, but I have yet to see any changes. Some evenings she has come to hug me for barely 3 minutes. Once she gave me a quick kiss, calling me love. That's it. It's okay. At the moment, the focus is that I need to heal. What surprised me the most instead was the rapid response of my 4-year-old daughter. Becoming calmer and more confident. I saw a surge in her tranquility and happiness, and now she wants to play and spend time with me much more willingly. She immediately noticed the change and feels very secure with me. This filled me with joy, and I bonded even more with her.
Aww.
Continuing the shadow work, I am now dealing with another theme, the constant arguments and rejections from my stepfather whenever I ask for something. Every time I ask for something, like going out with friends, going to eat pizza, playing soccer, or some money to buy a sandwich in the evening, there were always constant arguments where he said no. I had to fight with him, argue endlessly. Besides the many no's, he always repeated the no's were tied to things I hadn't done or things I had done wrong, which is kind of similar to what OP's wife did. I won't go into details now because otherwise this post would become too long, but believe me, he hated me and nearly drove me to unalive. Reliving all this crap, I understood the dynamics in my relationship with my wife, who, although she does a lot wrong, always tells me that everything depends on me and what I did/didn't do with her. I am almost done addressing this aspect. I love how he has like health bars on all of his drama.
Yeah.
The rejections from my stepfather, my inferiority, anxiety, low self-esteem, and little by little, I'm discovering a sea of self-esteem, grit, determination, and anger that lies within me. With my wife, I'm becoming a different person, confident, strong, understanding her needs as well. In these 2 weeks, I've experienced a calm and serenity that I hadn't felt in a long time. 0 arguments with my wife and 0 dramas. But unfortunately, there is a but.
The thing is, whether or not OP is making this change, I don't think that you can fully get to, or he can fully get to where he wants to be in his life without leaving his wife.
Yeah. I think he's like, I'm doing all this, but my wife isn't changing. But that's not the point. Like,
it's not about you doing something for her. It's about you doing it for you. And if you're not seeing any effort on her end, then the relationship is over.
I feel like it's been over for a while.
I think so too. I think it's been over for like years.
And I think he does know that. But
I mean, he made a spreadsheet.
As you know, we have had a stressful situation with our daughter, and sometimes the days are very heated, like 2 days ago. In one of these, my wife verbally insulted me using various bad words, but I confronted her without using bad words or anything, that she can save that behavior for the street friends, not for me, her husband. I hadn't done anything wrong in that situation. The next day, we had another situation where she physically threatened to slap me. Again, I wasn't scared, but rather a strong anger and desire to defend myself arose within me. I told her she absolutely must not dare, and I no longer tolerate these things. I'm not the same person anymore, and I am not afraid of her. So my life now is really heated with many problems and changes happening. Doing this shadow work hurts, but the results are there and are evidence.
You need to leave her.
Yeah. I'm finally understanding myself, helping myself. My self-esteem is rebuilding, and it is drastically changing my family dynamics. I am also going to lawyer next week to clearly understand my situation and what a divorce would entail regarding my daughter, money, and other factors.
Yes.
Gosh dang, about time.
Yes.
Finally, I am no longer afraid of being left or leaving my wife, which is what has held me back for 16 years from taking this step if necessary. I'll end with 2 things. I hope to heal quickly. Now that I am healing, I can more easily recognize my wife's problems and how to help her. I aim to be at least 90% healed before explaining to her how I resolved my issues and what I am now.
I think going back, OP is very analytically minded. The fact that he is...
I am 90% healed. And now I'm completely healed.
I don't know if you can necessarily quantify your healing in that way. But
OP can. He's got the spreadsheet to prove it.
Sure.
Many of you criticized me for my Excel diary, which many in chat also did, but it was useful to do it. Not so much for my wife, but for me. Now that I recognize my flaws, insecurities, fears, anxieties, and triggers, I know what to work on. Until next time. And we have additional information from OP.
Woo.
OP says, I'm using the time to heal. Having someone who triggers you helps you understand yourself better. Once I'm healed, and I'm sure I can proceed with the divorce with calm and serenity if things don't improve. She needs to heal as well, but now I'm not in the position to tell her anything or to expect anything. First, I need to heal. If she decides that she is okay the way she is, then bye-bye is guaranteed. And OP on what resources he used to deal with his trauma. OP responds, nothing specific. I'm just using a moleskin and pen. I'm exploring my traumas with 5 questions. What am I doing right now? And explain what triggers me. How/what are the emotions involved, and what are the people involved? And I try to be as honest as possible. Question 2, what are past experiences that led me to this behavior? I explore my childhood trauma related to this behavior, what happened, just stating facts I remember and connecting the dots. Why this happened, where I explore the people involved, mostly my mother and stepfather. I put myself in their shoes and understand their trauma and POV, so they no more are monsters now, but simple grown children with traumas and issues. I then have compassion for them all, and I forgive them. What did I understand? Well, where I reason on what I understood by answering the 3 questions above. And 5, what do you want to say to yourself? Where I talk to myself and hug myself to explain to myself that it is okay to feel the way I do, that I'm strong now and I'm here for me. And then I feel free.
Yeah.
And there's another update.
I think it is good It's very good that you're doing all of that work for self-improvement. I just think that like also therapy could help. This is, I think, a type of therapy.
He was doing some therapy, but I guess
if he's doing individual therapy and this, then he's fine. That's great. But if it's just this,
yeah,
I mean, it's still great. I think it's still an excellent way.
You know,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Not everyone has the ability to like trust a therapist
or like financially pay
pay a therapist. Kirsten DeJu says, I think his questions are pretty smart to ask yourself. Yeah, I completely agree.
I think it's a great step. Yeah.
Yes. Like,
I think it's the fact that he's still staying in this relationship kind of tells me, I'm like, maybe we need a little bit more outside help too.
Yeah, no, agreed. Like, I think it can definitely help, but I want to laud OP for
I mean, a lot of people can't do
taking time to do the work, and doing work by yourself, it ain't easy.
No.
And it really does feel like OP is
doing that work.
I
agree.
So, update 4. It has been 7 days, and I want to give you an update on how things are going. I'll break it down into points to make it easier to read. 1, my healing process. It's going really well. I've dealt with more issues from my childhood, and all of this has given me incredible confidence and self-esteem. After years of hating myself and calling myself awful names, I looked in the mirror and loved myself. I actually said, I love you, and you are the most important person in my life. I love you exactly as you are, with your strengths and weaknesses. These were the words I always sought from a woman, but my wife never said or made me feel this way. I did it for myself. Now that I've matured, I've realized I've become a man for the first time. I realized that no one was going to come up and help me, and that it was all up to me. I understood that everything is my sole responsibility, and I alone can change what happens in my life. Susan S. says, to be honest, it sounds like OP only cares about himself. I don't think that's completely fair. I feel like this is someone coming into their own. He's felt like unheard in his marriage. He's felt abused by his parents. I feel like this is what self-development in its early stages can look like.
And I also feel like the focus is not really about other people in this one, because he's using these posts as kind of self-reflection.
Yeah. I wouldn't go into OP like too hard. I really do think he's like making concerted effort to be the best man that he can be. And he's like, he's not going about it like completely well, but I really do feel like he is making strides, and I want to congratulate that, because I think that's a hard thing to do. I understood that everything is my sole responsibility, and I alone can change what happens in my life. From this moment on, when I have a difficult and sad time because of my situation, I no longer end up in despair. I'm there to console myself and lift my spirits. This is so new for me that I'm genuinely happy for the first time in my life. In the coming weeks, I'm tackling the remaining issues. I think I'll be done in 1 to 2 weeks.
See, the only thing I will say is like, he really thinks that he knows exactly how, like, you can measure. You can't measure that.
I feel like self-development is very hard to measure.
It takes a long time.
Hey, maybe he knows himself very well. Who knows?
I don't think anyone can know themselves or quantify or put a timer on when you heal.
Self-development is such a winding, weird path.
Yeah, and sometimes you feel real. I mean, it's the same with grief. It's like sometimes you feel great one day, and then like 2 weeks later you're like, It's not
a linear process.
No.
But why is everything progressing so quickly, you may ask? Well, it's because I'm extremely clear about my problems. I have the will to descend into heck each time to face everything again, and I know how to proceed. I described it last time. Okay.
You're confident. Maybe you're a little bit too confident.
Now,
just a little bit.
All right.
Reel it back in.
2, my relationship with my daughter. My daughter is quickly understanding who's taking control and leading this family. I've noticed that she started to respect me more, look for me more, and trust me more. She's the one who's grasping what's happening the fastest. I am falling more and more in love with my daughter, and I'm realizing how much my personal self-esteem issues were negatively impacting her life. Now that I'm healing, she's healing too. I'm over the moon about this. 3, relationship with others. I've stopped being a people pleaser. I no longer care about looking nice, being agreeable, or thinking about people too much. Simple, precise, and well-formulated interactions without fear. I don't even recognize myself. Every time I act differently from the past, I feel a fire of self-esteem inside that confirms what I've resolved in my mind. 4, relationship with my wife. Obviously, it's not going well, which shouldn't come as a surprise. I'm discussing everything with my lawyer to prepare for the divorce. In my country, there are specific laws and situations to be aware of. My wife is not taking the power shift well, but the disrespect has decreased. I no longer accept being yelled at in the face. It's unacceptable. After several times of trying to calm her down, she threatened me, saying that we need to talk about going our separate ways, that the chances she gave me have run out, that it's necessary to separate for the common good, etc. One particular day, she mentioned it several times in the afternoon, and I replied, okay, let's talk. I agree we should go our separate ways. I need a real woman who loves me. I don't need to stay with you. That feels like it comes from a place of hurt than a place of self-assuredness.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, OP. Each time she watched my reactions. By the evening, she was silent and didn't say anything. 2 days later, she said again that we should talk about separation, and I again said, okay, no problem. This morning, she put on makeup. I ignored her and came to give me a kiss, saying that for the sake of our family, we need to give the relationship another chance. However, I have understood what happened and why I'm in this situation. When we met, I was 18 years old and insecure. I felt ugly, lonely, and miserable in my family home and was desperately looking for a woman to be with. She is very beautiful, and probably after 2 relationships with bad boy archetypes where she was treated poorly and many dates with people with healthy attachments who recognized her avoidant attachment and didn't continue, she found me, an insecure good guy with nice ideals, to drain all the love and sweetness she could, offering me only her beauty and spicy sleep as a reward.
Dang.
Shit. Without the need to invest in herself, without the need to commit to the relationship. I was very hurt to discover all of this, but we move forward. Sometimes I am angry with her. Other times I think about how broken I was, and it was my fault too. But it doesn't matter. My healing process moves forward and takes precedence. To further remove power from her, I told her that I no longer want to have spicy sleep with her. I don't intend to let my mind get clouded by spicy sleep. I need a person who loves, esteems, and cares for me 24/7. Then spicy sleep happens because it is the cherry on top of all the love, not a tool to control me. Until next time.
Ooh-wee! Ooh-wee!
Oh, man. So, again, I want to say, I do think OP is making progress, but that last strand is making me feel like he is not as over things or through all the trauma as he thinks he is.
Someone said in an earlier comment, like they think, oh, this could be like an ADHD hyperfixation where he's like really focused on getting the self-help and getting better and stuff, and he's putting these deadlines on it. But the thing is, I think he's going to find himself getting really frustrated when he's not meeting those deadlines.
Yeah.
And then there, hopefully not, but there might be this regression.
Yeah.
Where like he's feeling on top of the world. He's like, I'm noticing all these changes. And then when that switch comes, which it often does, and then he's going to be like, oh, well, then I'm going to go back into my old habits with my partner. And I think the only way that you can get that actual positive change is to leave this partner.
Yeah, I think he's been with her like for far too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Past the point of him knowing that this is unhealthy for him and for her. It's unhealthy for them both.
Caitlin Montgomery says it's almost like he's lying to himself about being healed.
Yeah, I got
it kind of feels that way to me. It feels like he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. It's great. And it does. I'm not, which is not to discredit any of the work that he's doing.
Yeah.
I think he is doing it and it's good, but I think he's just kind of glossing over.
I have people I know who are always, they're always on like the best revelation ever. And they're like, and now I'm healed. And it's just like, it neglects how much work there is to constantly do.
Yeah. I don't think you can ever say like, I don't know, unless it's been years, I don't think you could be like, yeah, I went on this thing and this one specific thing and I'm healed now.
But what you can't say is it got me closer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
you
love
can say,
myself
I've been on this
more.
healing journey.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always like, how can you be more truthful with yourself? How can you love yourself more? Well, really, honestly, I think the core of it is like, how can you love yourself more? If you love yourself like really well, it flows over and you end up loving everyone else around you in really healthy ways. If you don't love yourself enough, I think you end up not, you end up with all of this like weird behavior that ends up happening. But that is where that story and this episode ends. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.